Alright, what's up, guys? Hope everybody had a great weekend. What is on the economic calendar this week? We got FOMC, right? We got Empire State Manufacturing tomorrow with S&P Flash U.S. Services PMI. Tuesday, retail, homebuilder confidence. Yeah, it looks like Wednesday is just the big one. FOMC interest rate decision and Papa Powell speaking at 2:30. And then Thursday, initial jobless claims, GDP, existing home sales, Philadelphia Fed manufacturing. Friday, freaking jeez, PCE. So it looks like Wednesday, Thursday, Friday are going to be big movers. Alright, let me make sure the stream's actually working, because I didn't double check yet. They're going to be big movers. Okay, not working. Sweet! Alright. Let me get rid of this. Make sure the stream is going, and get the link posted in Discord. We live on X and YouTube. Alright. Link is posted in the server. One of the babies woke up. Alright. Let me get the chat open up. Where's my chat? Where's the chat? Alright, let's get the chat opened up. Alright, if everybody could please like and retweet the stream. Before I get started, please like and retweet the stream. It is recorded. It's going to be saved here on my X profile, and then also it's saved onto my YouTube channel. That way people can find it if they cannot attend it live. So it helps people be able to find it easier on other people's profiles and everything in their feed if you like and retweet the stream. So I would greatly appreciate it. They got new backgrounds for Christmas. The only one that looks decent is that one and this one. Because all the other Christmas ones, like this one, it's oh, I can't move this out of the way. There's a little snowman, which is kind of neat. This one has Santa, but you can't freaking see it either. So I like this one or this one. I'm gonna do this one though. Alright, so I hope everybody had a great weekend. Again, economic calendar says FOMC on Wednesday, interest rate decision, Papa Powell speaking. So let's see what color tie he's wearing. Hopefully it's a purple tie. And then Thursday and Friday got some initial jobless claims, GDP, and again PCE, all coming out. So a lot of data that we're gonna have coming out. So all right, had to change the time to 8:15 because I've been starting it early. So I was always scheduled for 8:30. Had to bump it up by 15 minutes. Putting the kids down to bed earlier. So we're going to get ahead and get started. So again, before I get started, everybody on X, if you could please like and retweet the stream, I appreciate it. So you know the same three that I'm always going to chart first: SPY, QQQ, and IWM. So let's go ahead and take a look at SPY. Not in any squeezes except the 30-minute, just starting to curl upside right before the close. And it's just because it was putting in those higher lows kind of right there. So, but SPY had a really tough week. A lot of red candle closes. It looks like it closed directly on the daily 9 EMA. It's probably going to put a bunch of crazy shit on here the second I do this. Yeah. So let me get rid of the rest of that. At this level right here. What's the high? Just over 600. I put that one at, yeah. I mean, in that general area. That trend line I would watch. Yeah, look at that. They already put it in there for you. Shout out Luxalgo. Price action concepts indicator. If it breaks the daily 9, honestly, the daily 21 is right at 600. 600 to 650. I mean, that's where she's going. Yeah. That would be target underneath. I mean, it starts to. You got the daily 9 right here. You got that previous day low down there at 602. What's this day's low? Yeah. The high is pretty simple. You definitely got this weird midpoint area right here. What was that, like 605.50 right here. So let's drop this down to the 15-minute real quick. So, yeah, I would say turn this off real quick and turn these off too. Yeah, this area right up here gonna be a pain in the balls. And then this is like your no touch kind of choppy area. So I would say 602.80 is a put trigger. 606 is a call trigger. If it starts to break above 606, should go to 607, 607.50. Big resistance up there, and then above that probably end up going to the 608 dollar psych level. But I mean previous highs target up there underneath 602.80, 602 psych level, and then near honestly 601, and then 600 targeting area, this area right up here, and then this bottom area right over here. So 602.80 and 600, and then those are the levels I would watch from just under 600 up to 608.40. So right near the middle of the range. That's what I'll watch there on SPY. And then again, daily, draw that trend line, turn on the 9 and 21 EMA, and it's sitting right now directly on right here. It's sitting directly on the daily 9. So if it breaks that, and it goes down here where it's going to hit this full target zone area, that's going to line up with the daily 21 EMA. So taking puts, you know, on the move all the way down here, when it gets down to that zone around 600 cycle level, that daily 21 EMA, in my opinion, I mean, that's a good spot risk reward for potential bounce back up. SPY breaks underneath the 600 psych level, then honestly it's just watch for the move downside 595. By that time it's probably going to line up where that trend line is. I need to turn that off. I did that last time too. So, but we'll leave it there. Those would be the spots for SPY as of right now. So 606 and 602.80 SPY, draw that daily trend line, 921 EMA. Let's see, QQQ is not in any kind of squeeze right now. Let's go to the weekly. Let me get rid of all this other BS. Alright, so QQQ is very extended away from the weekly EMAs. Obviously has a lot more upside momentum compared to SPY. The divergence between the two is very, very clear that Q's is a lot stronger than SPY, and that's because of the Mag 7 right now. So it closed a perfect little doji candle up there, and there's going to be big support right around that level and that daily 9. Previous high 533.17. I mean, those would definitely be two levels. There's a gap to fill from there. I would say target down here. And then, I mean, it's just all-time highs after that. So for QQQ, oh shit. There we go. So for QQQ, watch the previous high, 533.17, I think to be exact, somewhere right there. And then when it breaks the previous day low, so there's that level that's right there, right? So again, no coincidence, that's how support, resistance, SR flips work. So that was resistance, came back down, big green candle, big bull run, breaks over top it, that's what's needed, where the bulls take charge, and then the retest right down here, and that's the confirmed SR flip right there, right? And buyers step in, and then what happens is they take it to a new high. So I think this spot just right here is a very, very crucial area for QQQ. It would have to break that to get continuation to go downside, because that's just where buyers can step in. So breaking underneath that and losing this level here around 523.80, that would probably be my my put trigger for Qs. Take it down to 521.31, 520 psych level. This previous day low down here, which is 519.16. And then underneath that, around 515.86, I have to probably 516 psych level. So above previous high, 533.17. I mean, it's just going to continue to make new all-time highs. Got a little trend line right here too. So watch those two lines there for Qs. IWM, different monster. Looks really good on, whoopsies, where's that? Jesus. On the weekly. I don't think it's in a squeeze. I could be wrong. No, it's not. So the weekly hit directly on the weekly 9 EMA. So that right now, you'll see is holding Qs. If it loses that, I mean, coming down to the 21 is not out of the question, which is going to line up around probably exactly 225 by that time. So if it loses, was that 232? I mean, going to go down to 230, 228, 227, then 225. 225 would be the big spot. But yeah, it's got to hold that weekly 9 EMA. Go to the daily here. So there is a small portion of that gap still to fill. So that's interesting. So that's a buy in my opinion on IWM if it does pull back to that spot around 225. So it's underneath its daily 9 and 21 EMA. So above 233, you got 236, which seems to be a pretty big spot here on IWM, around like right here-ish. And then a push above that to closer to the 240 area. I'll just mark that previous high there too. You got a big level right there. That would be my put trigger to then come to these downside spots. Actually, I'll just change that one. So draw this trend line here on IWM, drop it down to the 15-minute. So yeah, this area right up here, it's around 236, give or take a few cents upside or downside, but it's going to be around that 236 area, 236.2 I'll say. Let me nitpick a little bit. I mean, it's more of a zone than it is a specific level, because technically I would mark just this zone like kind of right across right here in general. And then I would mark that as a zone. So just because this is resistance and support doesn't mean that I'm not looking for calls above this. But I put, like, this would be my call trigger, this would be my put trigger, but I put support and resistance on there first because risk to reward says to potentially look at that first. The retest of this area here, yeah, it's my call trigger, but I'm not going to think it's just going to rip straight through it. I'm going to see it act as resistance first, get the initial pull down here. But once it does, if it doesn't pull back down, and say that gets stopped out perfectly fine, let it rip. When it pulls back down and does the SR flip, then that's where I'm the buyer and I take the calls. I don't take the calls when it breaks through the resistance. I enter in on the back test. So it's the break-in base essentially of that. So that's what I would watch on IWM downside. This 231.84 down to 231.16 be my support area. So above the resistance, I'm going to go closer to that 240 area and then 242. Underneath that support down the 228 and then down closer to this 225 and where that trend line is actually going to line up. So I would watch those on IWM. Alright, let's get to NVIDIA. Let me check the chat channel. Yes, these are recorded. What's up, Keith? I hope you had a great weekend as well, brother. Oh yeah, he already answered. Yep, they're already recorded. Yep. So the spaces will be recorded and posted just like a normal tweet kind of on my profile, and then also saved to the YouTube channel. So always view it afterwards, and then again, please like and retweet the stream here on X. Just retweet it like any other post on here. That way people can find it later on, since if they're not able to attend it live. What's up, Mark? What's up? Alright, so everyone knows the Head and Shoulders on NVIDIA. Now everybody wants to fucking talk about this Head and Shoulders on NVIDIA after it made the right shoulder. But who posted the NVIDIA Head and Shoulders before it was a Head and Shoulders on NVIDIA? Because on this day, back here on December 6th, I had already charted out the Head and Shoulders because there was an evening star, which is this candlestick pattern, at the top. And it's a bearish candlestick pattern. So the fact that it's up here near the previous left shoulder high, if it wanted to create a bearish candlestick setup right there, what would happen when it comes back down? It would create the right shoulder. So I sent the Head and Shoulders way before it came all the way down here and said where my target was, which was 132. NVIDIA hit 132.54. Call that a win. So now what I'm looking for is underneath 131, 130 on NVIDIA. Head and Shoulders plays out to the downside. So obviously Head and Shoulders is a bearish chart pattern setup. So if it breaks that 131, 130, going to target down to 128, 125, 122. So I can go ahead and mark those spots here. 122, 121 areas like full final target, like that area, like right here. That's my next big spot. If NVIDIA hits that area down there, I'm a buyer. So if it breaks underneath this little, yellow zone, then I say it's going to come down here to this little yellow zone. Now, if NVIDIA holds the neckline and it does not break through, like my tweet previously that I posted, a wise man once told me that there's nothing more bullish than a failed bearish move. So if it holds the neckline, once NVIDIA breaks back over 140, 141, comes back down, does the retest in that area, and the buyers step back in and push this price action back up, then that's where I would look to be the buyer, which would be there on that retest, and then take NVIDIA back to the upside. So that is my plan on NVIDIA. If it pushes, NVIDIA's at 134, so it's got a little ways to go. So might get some calls intraday on a run up, but like overall swing trading, the bigger picture for me to get back into like 150 calls on NVIDIA for, a few months out, say for February or March 2025, it would have to be once it gets the break in base on the daily above 140, 141. So that's when I long NVIDIA. Breaking underneath the 131 area, then 128, 125, and then 122 to 121 would be a big spot on NVIDIA. So that would be my full target downside if I was in swinging puts by that time. I'd be exiting majority at that point and be in runners and potentially look to flip long if buyers step in down there at that area. So make sure I download that one. So now it is the banks again. So you got a Head and Shoulders here on JPM, and you got this, support right here. So when it breaks this trend line and it breaks that support, first target's going to initially come downside near 235. Underneath 235, to be exact, 234.77. Let me adjust that by a few cents if I can. I can get 0.8. There is a huge gap fill all the way to the downside to about 222. So, depending on what Papa Powell says on Wednesday for FOMC, with the interest rates, if the market and especially IWM and the banks, the financial sector, react in a negative way, then there is a potential for gap fills, and it's not just JPM. So we're going to talk about quick four. JPM is just the first one, and looking at the charts on the larger time frame, I sent it out earlier. I was already shorting banks last week based on weekly and daily charts, and they're all now coming down to these areas where my first targets were downside. Now underneath here is where it can get even worse for them. So you got JPM, right? So you got head and shoulders there on the daily, trend line break can lead to the gap fill. So you got Morgan Stanley, same thing. So I've already traded Morgan Stanley. So go to the weekly, you have potential evening star right up here. Big green candle, doji, big red candle, right? But the main thing is this daily, where it finally broke underneath the daily 9 and 21 EMA and breaking the trend line. And it entered into the gap. So it entered, I gotta now adjust this, it entered into the gap. So that daily low is 126.3. So now it just retested the 9 and 21 EMA on the daily 2 times and rejected them both times and came back down. So now it's holding underneath these daily EMAs, holding under that trend line, and a break of that 126.3 that then continues for Morgan Stanley to fill the gap all the way to the downside. Again, Morgan Stanley, depending on what happens Wednesday with FOMC, just like JPM, if the banks and the financial sector reacts in a negative way, it has a big gap to fill downside. So watching that as well. Go to Wells Fargo. Wells Fargo, go to the weekly. Boom. Here's my chart that I sent. So I've already traded this. So it had the evening star right here 9 times out of 10. Next candle's red. Huge red candle straight to the downside. So I took puts. And we banked on it. I took puts on Bank of America, which I'm going to talk about next, Wells Fargo, and Morgan Stanley, all at the same time in Premium Discord. I think it was last Monday. Shorted all of them. So had the evening star, puts to the downside, went all the way down to the weekly 9 EMA at the $70 psych level. Perfect target downside. So now, if it breaks the low from November 8th, which is, to be exact, 69.36, just underneath $70 psych level, which is perfect. So if it holds under $70 psych level and then it starts to go lower and breaks 69.36, it has a huge gap to fill to the downside. Not to mention, just like Morgan Stanley, you got the pop, the rejection. Go upside, come back down. The pop, same rejection. What does that create? The right shoulder right there to short it, which I did on the weekly. Because this same chart is going to look identical, I believe, on Bank of America on the daily. So, and then again, what does this name have? It has a huge gap to fill to the downside. Now, BAC. Look at that. You have a beautiful head and shoulders, right? What does it also have? A huge gap to fill on the daily. So you got this spot right here. Go to the weekly. Nice shooting star candle, and then a huge red candle, another one right there. So it almost lines up right here. That would be my tell by that time. So you got a level here. Honestly, it's not going to go higher until it reclaims that weekly high. And then it would go to the previous levels here. So drop it down to the daily. Alright, so Head and Shoulders right here. Huge gap to fill to the downside. Daily, after breaking underneath the daily 9 and 21 EMA, what does every single daily candle do? It goes and retests them, and every single one rejects and closes back underneath of them. So now, I would say underneath probably just 45 bucks, honestly. I would just mark that. Underneath $45 on BAC, it goes down to $44.50. After that, and that's how BAC moves. It likes the 50 cent and dollar kind of cycle level numbers if you nitpick it. So underneath 45, it's going to go down to 44.50. Underneath $44, it starts the gap right here. Huge gap to the downside to 42. So again, just like Morgan Stanley, Wells Fargo, JPM, Bank of America, all four names on the daily or weekly chart had bearish setups. They all had trend line breaks. This trend line's probably all the way down, like into the gap. Yeah. Oh, does it line up with this right here? Almost. So, if it works its way down to the gaps like to act as support and resistance. So, off the trend line in 44 bucks where the gap is at, buyers can step in because they don't want that gap to fill. But if it breaks that trend line and it breaks $44, it's going to fill the gap and then potentially come downside. So, gotta be able to play, both sides. But again, FOMC interest rate decisions, if the banks, their reaction is negative in any way, every single one of these freaking names, every single one of them have gaps to fill to the downside. So I'll be ready to smack every single bank name again for puts next week expiration if they all decide to go down at the same time. So I believe that is it. Let me double check. Google. I want to cover Google real quick. Google's not looking too hot. The weekly looks fantastic. Weekly squeeze, beautiful. This is why I freaking love this indicator. Look at this. Beautiful momentum to the upside. Look at those 1, 2, 3 red dots. Look at the freaking MACD that crossed bullish with it. RSI put in a higher low and held above 50. Just nice bullish signs there on the squeeze. Freaking ripped. So now the daily don't look too good though. I don't like how that daily, it didn't hold this previous high up here around like 191, 190. It closed just underneath of it. And just the formation of those candles, that just doesn't look very bullish. So what does look bullish is a buy around here. This looks really good. So if it gets to move, back down to the daily 9 EMA in between 183.50 and 182.50, so just call it 183, give or take in there, I think that is a great spot to try a long. So I'm looking for essentially a short when it breaks kind of underneath. You got a lot of little levels right here, but it's mainly going to be these two. It would have to reclaim here to go higher. Drop it down to 15 real quick. So I would say if it starts to lose 188, coming down to this 183 zone area, and then see if it gets that move back up. But I mean, as of right now, the daily and weekly don't look too good, and they're just kind of putting in these lower highs. You had a little trend line here, I suppose. Break, retest, rejection, came back down, so not looking too hot on Google. So looking for the break underneath that 188 and take it down to 183, and then be a buyer there. So again, just I don't like the daily setup after the huge run, because on the weekly it is overextended, so it just needs to pull back potentially before it can continue to run higher. So, and the daily is very extended from the EMA, so you'll kind of see, I mean, even in a situation like huge gap up, super extended from it, it pulls back down to it. It didn't really get too extended from it on this move up here, but after a few red candles and hitting some resistance, just pulling back down to retest those areas. So could be the same situation here, and it's at 183.47. That's where the daily 9 is at. So that would be my target downside for the puts underneath 188. And then once it hits the daily 9 EMA and it lines up with previous areas right here that you want to see where the SR flip to happen, then I would want to take it back upside. So initially looking short on Google under 188, take it down to 183 and flip long. So I just wanted to cover that real quick. I know it doesn't matter with Robinhood overnight, in my opinion. I don't think any of this shit matters, but like, where's Google at right now? Down 10 cents. Doesn't mean anything. Nvidia up 0.09. Nothing. Where is banks at? JPM, nothing. BAC, nothing. Nothing's really moving. What's Tesla? Up 1.14%. Nice. What about PLTR? PLT motherfucking R is up 3.4%. It's going for $80. Bigger question, as long as MSTR is up big, that's all I'm worried about. Holy shit. MSTR is up 6.2% right now? No fucking way. I sold MSTX puts again. I sold 55 puts on MSTX. Oh my god. MSTX is up 11%? Oh my god. What about MSTY? MSTY is up 6.3%. Oh my god, my shares. It's at $40. My shares are at 35. Oh my god, let's go. Holy shit. My shares are going to be up like over 10% on MSTY. Hell yeah, if that holds, that's going to be $1,000 tomorrow morning just on shares on MSTX or MSTY. Only sold 2 of the MSTX 55 puts. So last week I sent the trade on Twitter, on X, that I was selling the Friday expiration 65 puts on MSTX. They were $50 a piece. I sold 2 of them, made $100. I used that $100 and I created a new position. Now I sold MSTX 55 puts. So now I'm going to essentially try to double that profit. So just 2 contracts, made $100 by selling those 2 puts, and then roll those profits into another trade that was $5 strike down. Even safer trade, but the premium was 55. So I'm getting $110 in that trade. So overall, make $210 on that one. And then have about $10,000 worth of MSTY, around $35. It just hit $40. Look at that. It's sitting at 40. It hit 41.80 earlier. So those will be up nicely. What else did I sell? I sold HIMS puts. HIMS can get assigned. HIMS is over $30 right now. I'm solid for right now. I sold 25s for this Friday. If it gets assigned, it gets assigned. I'll take 100 shares. Or I did 2 contracts, so I'll take 200 shares of HIMS at $25. And right after it fills that gap, I'll be fine. I would actually love that because I can start selling covered calls. Rivian's at $14.42, just under $15, and got shares, covered calls, cash secured puts, and 2026 $30 call options on Rivian that are already up 47.6%. So it's looking good. MSTR, that's ridiculous. Oh my God. MSTR is up 6.4%. MSTY, oh, it's over 40, it's at 40.4, it's up 7.5%. I can't believe MSTX, oh my God, it's up 11%. It's at $117, and I sold 55 puts. Oh my God. Let's go. All right. SPY, QQQ, IWM, NVIDIA, Google, all the banks, JPM, WFC, Morgan Stanley, and Bank of America. So those are all the ones from tonight that I wanted to cover. And MSTR, I'm mainly honestly just going to be watching MSTR, MSTY, and MSTX tomorrow and this week for just relative strength, hopefully, and continuation upside. So if anyone's in those MSTY shares with me, we're up huge, it looks like. If you're in MSTR calls, looking good. And then the MSTX sold puts, that's looking like easy freaking cash for Friday. So, fantastic. MU has earnings this week. I will most likely be taking MU 110 calls for Friday expiration right before earnings comes out. So those will be obviously just lottos. So, but potentially good positive reaction from MU can start a sympathy move on NVIDIA. So that'll be nice. I sent a few of these charts out already. Let me go ahead and post these other ones here in the Discord. Let's see. SPY, QQQ, and IWM. Send those. Google. NVIDIA. And NVIDIA. Send those. Alright, so if you're in the Discord, just posted those charts there, SPY, Qs, IWM. You guys already had all the bank ones previously. Then the NVIDIA chart. What's that one? And Google, yeah, those ones as well. So that is all I wanted to cover for tonight. Appreciate you guys. 1,300 of you hanging out. Love you. Appreciate you. Please like and retweet the stream. I'm going to go ahead and shut it down. That way people can find it later on if they could not attend it live. So that's it from me, Premium Discord team. I will see you guys in the morning here on the live stream, live trading. And let's have a great week. Don't forget FOMC Wednesday, and then data Thursday, Friday. So could be slow mover Monday, Tuesday, just for anticipation of the freaking big volatility that's going to come in on Wednesday, and then just data right after that Thursday and Friday pre-market. So that's when the craziness and big moves will most likely happen, and then obviously MU reports around that same time. So a lot of big things on the back half of the week. So stay patient. Don't rush anything. Probably going to size down just a little bit. And wait until after, post FOMC and all the volatility to see where everything's at after it, see how the market reacts to that. So, all right, that's it for me. Appreciate you guys. And again, Premium Discord team, I'll see you live on the stream in the morning in Discord. We're ready to go. Y'all have a good night.